All right, well, welcome back once again to Module 4. We are now in Lesson 2, and in Lesson 1 we talked about the buy and hold strategy as an option for one of the investment strategies. This lesson, what we're going to look at is the buy, fix, and sell, or also known as flips. Now, I think a lot of people, when they're new getting into the game of investing, the buy, fix, and sell looks like a lot of fun, and it's unfortunate, but the TV shows really help make it look a lot of fun. Now, this is a huge warning because I want you to realize that those TV shows are for entertainment purposes only. They are nowhere near close to being reality. There's no way you can do the amount of renovations that they're doing in such a short period of time unless you've got a massive crew dedicated to one particular job. Even then, it's extremely unlikely that you're going to be able to accomplish what they do in those TV shows. Those TV shows are meant for entertainment. That's what they are. The hosts are usually goofy and over the top with their acting and so forth. So just be aware that those shows are good to watch, great places to get some ideas for decorating or design, whatnot. But as far as cost and time frame, they are out to lunch. Do not expect your job, your flip, to be anything like these TV shows. So let's take a look at some pros of the buy, fix, and sell strategy. There's definitely a very high potential for profits in these deals. They're not necessarily the easiest deals to come across, but when you do come across a good one, there is potential for high profits. The nice thing about it also is that you're not dealing with tenants. Now, I should maybe clarify that a little bit. I mean, if it's a single family home, you're doing the buy, fix, and sell, great high potential for profits and no tenants. But you can also do a buy, fix, and sell on an apartment building, a 6-plex, 8-plex, whatever the size. And it could be a tired, rundown building that's occupied. Maybe it's only 80% occupied, so you start doing repairs and maintenance to those empty units, to the shell of the building, etc. You could still be involved with tenants, but for the most part, in most buy, fix, and sells, you're not dealing with tenants. If it's a flip, so the intent is to buy the property, fix it, and sell it, the income that it generates is what we call active income. Therefore, it's taxed at the lower tax rate. And in the earlier lesson, I talked about the buy and hold strategy. The income that it generates is called passive income, and the government taxes it at a higher tax rate than they do the active income. So a nice little benefit, but it's 100% taxable as well. Now, a lot of people have the mindset or belief that you can move into a property, renovate it, and then sell it. And there's no real time frame for this. If you take a look in the tax code, there's no rules for this specifically. This whole idea that selling a home that you live in and the benefits of it, the profits, are tax-free is designed for the homeowner. It's not designed for an investor. So the reality is that it's not tax-free money. And the key word in this whole process is called intent. If the government can prove that you had the intent of selling that house and realizing a profit without paying taxes on it, then that is becoming a business. Now, if you do it once, maybe twice over a period of 4 or 5 years, you'll probably get away with it and there's no real issue, especially if you are truly living in the property. However, if they see a trend, so every year you buy another house, you move into it, you renovate it, and then you sell it, 3 or 4 years down the road, they're going to say, well, hang on, this is a business. This is not what this program was designed for. Therefore, your intent is to evade paying taxes on the profit. You could potentially be charged. You'll have to pay back taxes. It's just not worth it. So just realize that the profit that you gain from a flip is 100% taxable. And it's not even, a lot of people think, well, it's only 50% taxable. Well, in the buy and hold strategy, you have the benefit for the capital gains exemption. this is not capital gains exempt. In this particular case, the income that you generate is 100% taxable. So just be aware of that. So that's not really a pro, but it's a lot of people think of it as a pro, and I'm just dispelling that myth right now. So some of the cons, though, on top of the fact that it's 100% taxable, the returns are market driven. And what I mean by that is that generally speaking, flips are going to take several months to go through that whole process. So you buy the property and the market is stable, maybe the trend is going up, and you get into the house, you renovate it, and during the time that you're renovating it, the market gets a little bit soft and the market values start to drop a little bit, or at least don't increase. Well, that's going to affect your bottom line. It's also extremely labor intensive. Now, most people who get involved with buy, fix, and sells, they are hands-on. They're in there with the sweat equity themselves, and that's certainly the best way to maximize your profits. If you are not of the capability of being able to get in there and do it yourself, then you're going to have to hire other people. You'll just be the contractor where you're hiring people, which is fine as well, but that's going to increase your costs and decrease your profitability as well. Excuse me. A general rule of thumb is when you're doing buy, fix, and sells, once you do your initial assessment of what the deal is going to look like, how much you're going to make, just realize it's probably going to cost you twice as much, take twice as long, and produce half the profit. If half the profit is still okay for you, then I would suggest you go ahead. But if your profit, if your goal is $20,000 on this buy, fix, and sell, for myself personally, I wouldn't do it because I realize or recognize that my profit, projected profit of $20,000 is most likely going to end up only being closer to $10,000. And if it's going to take me twice as long and a whole lot more grief, then I'm not going to be involved doing it. But there's still, having said that, there is still great opportunity, lots of money to be made in this. Another con is the fact that there's no long-term passive income here. So it's called active income, therefore taxed at a lower tax rate, but it's also active in the sense that if you stop working, you stop doing fix and sells, then there's no more income because you're only generating profit from the sale of the property on a one-time basis. All right, so how much money should you actually be spending on a buy, fix, and sell? I mean, that's a good question I'm asked a lot of times. Is $2,000 in repairs and upgrades, $5,000, $20,000, $50,000? Where's the limit? Well, what I would suggest is there really is no guideline as to how much you spend. The guideline is going to be dictated more upon the neighborhood that you're investing in. So if, for example, you buy a house that the after repair value in that neighborhood should be around $300,000, you buy it for $250,000, realize there's about $25,000 worth of upgrades that need to be done. So you're going to buy it for $250,000, spend $25,000 on it, and make $25,000. Well, you need to understand that there's a lot of costs that other than just the materials and your time. There's carrying costs, there's selling costs, there's all of these other costs as well that it can eat into your profit. So you need to be careful of that, but you also need to be careful of the fact that you don't want to overbuild in your neighborhood. So you think, well, instead of spending $20,000, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend $50,000 on this property. So now you're back up to the $300,000, but you're going to put granite countertops in. You're going to put slate, hardwood flooring. You're going to upgrade the landscaping outside. You're going to install a walk-in bathroom for the master bedroom. All of a sudden what you've done is you've taken this $300,000 house and you've increased it to $400,000 value, which is fantastic if you can sell it in that neighborhood. The challenge is who's going to want to buy and live in a $400,000 or $500,000 house if it's located in a $300,000 neighborhood. So that's what you truly, really need to be aware of is the neighborhood, making sure that you don't outprice yourself for the neighborhood. You also have to understand the difference between repairs and maintenance and capital. There can be some huge tax implications here. And again, These tax implications are dependent upon the market that you're investing in, the country, the city, the province, or state that you're investing in. So you need to do a little bit of research there. So let's take a look at what is a repair and maintenance. You know, if you were to repair a couple windows, that's definitely maintenance. Patching the roof, maybe even shingling half the roof, again, that's maintenance. You pull up the carpet and refinish the hardwood, definitely maintenance. If you put in new kitchen cabinets, that could go either way as far as maintenance or a capital repair. Same thing with a bathroom gut and reno. If you just take out the tub and retile the shower stall, that's definitely a maintenance issue. But if you take everything right down to the studs, then that's going to be a reno. Painting the entire house is definitely a maintenance issue. So what's the difference then with a capital? Well, if you go right down to the studs, so take all the drywall off, the insulation out, or you making a big addition to the property, as well as finishing an unfinished basement, or if you reshingle the entire roof, that could be considered a capital expenditure as well. Instead of doing just a few windows, you do an upgrade to all of the windows, including the furnace. You start moving walls. When you start doing major capital expenditures like this, what can happen is you're going to trigger a sales tax. This is considered to be a new build. And again, it really depends on the jurisdiction you're in and the local regulations. Recently, we just listed, because Joanne and I are realtors, Joanne listed a property. A gentleman bought the property under market value. He spent about $50,000 in renovations, which was all fine. He went a little bit higher in price point than we suggested he should, but that wasn't the real issue. It has sold, and he is realizing a profit on it, and he realizes the profit that he is going to make on it is taxable income. What he wasn't realizing though is that there's sales tax on the sale of the house. And when you take everything right down to the bones of a house and reinstall new insulation, vapor barrier, ventilation, plumbing, electrical, new kitchen, new bathrooms, new flooring, absolutely everything is new on the inside, new siding, new roof, new windows, brand new furnace. The only thing that was original is the actual frame of the house. He considered that to be a renovation, and it is a renovation, but it's in the eyes of the government, they consider that to be the equivalent of a new build. Therefore, the area that we live in has a new home sales tax, and he has to pay that sales tax on top of his property sale now, and it just about wipes out all of his profit. So you need to be aware of the tax consequences in your market. Now, to help with this process, with the buy, fix, and sell, what I've done is I've included a few documents. The first one is a buy, fix, and sell analysis. You can't see it very well here, so I'm going to go to the next page where I've got the top half blown up a little bit bigger. And you're going to insert the information where the blue fields are. So the appraised value of the property, the anticipated selling price, which is 95% of the appraised value. So up at the very top there, what is the after repair value? What do you think the value of that home is going to be when you're finished? Then in the box A, you're going to put in a value. It's going to be 95% of that future value, because very rarely do you sell it for full price. The big one here is number 3, the holding costs. This is where a lot of people forget about including these costs while they're doing the renovation. So you're going to have some debt service, whether it be a mortgage or a loan, and usually the debt service on short-term financing flips is going to be at a higher rate as well. Quite often, a lot of people use private money in order to do these deals. So the longer you hold on to that property, the less profit there is for you. Keep in mind you have to continue paying your property taxes and utilities. Insurance is usually a minimum twice as much as what a regular house insurance policy would be, probably 3 and maybe even 4 times higher, simply because from the insurance company's perspective, that house is now sitting vacant during the night. There's also work going on in the house, major work going on, so there's a high risk for fires or damages taking place. So they deem the property to be at high risk, therefore they're going to charge a higher premium. You still have to pay your water and sewer. You may have management fees or condo fees included as well. So if you're doing a flip of a 6-unit building and you're just fixing the outside, changing all the windows, and upgrading the landscaping and maybe 1 or 2 of the units, well, you still have management fees while you're carrying that property as well. The bottom half of that analysis sheet shows is more related to the selling. So a lot of people, again, they forget that there's going to be closing costs when they sell the property. They're going to have some legal fees. There are also going to be some either sales commissions or advertising, depending whether you use the MLS and a salesperson to help sell the property, or if you sell it yourself, there's certainly some advertising costs there. You may or may not have some income from the property, again, depending whether it's a single-family home versus an apartment building. Even with a single-family home, you may still have a garage rented out to somebody else. So this is where you would include some of the income while you're doing this renovation. The rest of it will self-populate on its own as a result of the numbers you put in those blue spaces, and it will help you identify how much profit you are potentially going to make in this transaction. So highly recommend you spend some time playing with this, and it'll help you determine whether the flip is a good deal or not. Something else to help once you get involved in a flip is what we call a Gantt chart, and this is like a time management chart. So for example, Terrence is going to start the cleanup on the first 2 days of May, and while Terrence is doing that, S&C are going to start the interior cleanup, and then Neil is going to start doing some basement repairs. Well, and then Terrence can start on the roof or the garage once the outside is all done. Neil's going to start the plumbing, but he can't start the plumbing until the basement repairs are done, so he can't start his plumbing until the 5th day of May. And it continues on like this. So you can see how people can schedule themselves. So obviously Terrence can't do the gutters until he gets the roof and the garage done because he's busy doing that. He's also supposed to put the countertops in on the same, but we got a scheduling conflict here. So what we have to do is we have to move one of these 2 items out of there so that now the countertops get pushed out until the 16th. And you continue on through this, and this is a good way for everybody to see what the other people are doing, what they're responsible for, when things can be scheduled to be done. This is how big construction companies run their construction sites efficiently, and it's a good idea to make use of during your smaller renovations as well. I'm also including what I call a rehab cost tracking sheet. Again, can't see it very well here, so I'm just going to blow up the top part a little bit better. And what this does is it allows you to create a budget. So as you identify, you can change the information on the left-hand side there, but as you identify the items, you can then put in the costs, the quantity, the unit costs, etc., and how much the budget's going to be. And as you complete each task, you can then put the actual total value in over towards the right-hand side there, and the variance will populate on its own. It's amazing. It's very easy to go over budget very quickly and easily. It's amazing how many people will go over budget, and actually I don't know of anybody that's come in under budget yet. And what happens is people don't keep track of their spending. Just like their personal spending, people spend without tracking their dollars, and running to the hardware store, the lumber yard, to pick up a $5, $10 item doesn't seem like a whole lot, but all of these little things add up very, very quickly. So this is a great way for you to track all of your costs. All right, so again, this session, this lesson is not to teach you about buy, fix, and sell. It's simply to help you identify if it's a good option when opportunities are presented. I've given you some tools that will definitely help you if you do decide to get into the buy, fix, and sell strategy. In lesson 5, again, you're going to be presented with some opportunities which you must decide which strategy to make use of. And some of the tools I've just provided you here in this lesson will become very useful for you when you need to determine whether it's whether the buy, fix, and sell is the strategy you want to use or not. And again, the whole purpose of this is to help you realize that there are other opportunities, open up your mind to other options and perspectives. And that's the end of lesson number 2. So we'll look forward to sharing with you in lesson number 3. Take care now.